premier technology systems in the game today. They're huge in golf. They're really getting big in baseball because of the movement enhancement and analytics that they provide towards that, right? So I'm going to turn it over to Sang. He's here from New Jersey, and go from there.
Thanks, Jim. So, yes, my name's Sang Kim. I'm the founder and CEO of 4D Motion. And thank you all for coming, and I just want to show you how our technology works. And if you have any questions, feel free to just keep this interactive, okay? So what's 4D Motion? When I started this, the goal was to, have you ever seen like in video games, they take the athletes, they put all the markers on a person and the cameras, and they capture all that, and the results are amazing, right? But that's not practical, right? We're going to train. I don't want to strip you down, fully full of markers, be in one location with the cameras, and chances are, even if they can measure you, it's not how you're really performing. So what I wanted to do was solve the problem of having these systems that are way too complicated, way too expensive, right? Hundreds of thousands of dollars, who can afford that? Way too time consuming. I've actually done this process. It takes like a day, okay? Like, you don't have a day to spend with people. And I also want to create something that's extremely portable. You can use it anywhere, right? You're not limited to where you have all these cameras set up, because we don't use any cameras, we just use sensors. So basically we came up with this. It's a system that uses these tiny sensors. It's practically weightless. Our system's modular, so we can actually put it on any part of the body that you want, okay? And it works with an iPhone or iPad, right? So I'm using an iPad here so you can see a little bit better, but you could literally have our sensors on you, iPhone in your pocket, and it works. So why does this matter? Why do you want to measure this stuff? So, already today you've gotten great information from the other speakers around, where your body should be, your balance point, chest, rotation, all of that. So what we're doing is giving you the tools to measure that. Okay, so you could take all of this information, because one of the problems I was trying to solve to start with is this term called proprioception. And basically what proprioception is what you feel like you're doing, right? And the problem with most athletes is that feel versus real is dramatically different, right? You could have a great coach, or you watch something, you learn something, and you try to replicate that motion, and you think you're doing that, but in actuality you aren't. So what this system is all about at the end of the day is the ability to take all this great information that these guys are giving you, measure it, see if you're actually doing what you want to be doing, and then train you on it. Okay? Feel free to come closer. So one of the first, as Jim said, we actually started in golf. And in golf, there's actually years and years of data on this stuff. So you probably have more 3D motion data than any other sport. So it's a good way to go in. And then about 2 years in, I decided to go to baseball. So I got invited by a pro team to come out and try and measure some of their players and see what this 3D stuff is all about. So one of the terms that you hear a lot, and the reason it's important, is it's really hard to measure without 3D. It's called kinematic sequence. Has anybody heard of kinematic sequence? Kinetic chain, right? Stuff like that, right? So it's really the concept of a whip, right? I think Mike actually cracked a whip earlier today. And the idea is that the only way that you can get something that's moving pretty slowly in the beginning to the tip of that whip literally breaking the speed of sound, which is why you hear that crack, is that everything has to go in the right order. So it has to transition in the right order, it actually has to decelerate in the right order, and then that energy flows, right? So you could be the strongest athlete in the world, but if your kinetic chain's off, it's not going to translate. So this was one of the first people we actually measured. And as you can see, we put 5 sensors on him at his hip, chest, arm, and back. And with 3D, you can actually, unlike a 2D video camera, you can actually see your swing. You can zoom in, out, and you can see it from any angle. Okay? So one of the things that we look at, I'll show you the technical version and the simpler version first, is we can actually map out a person's kinematic sequence. So this is how fast your hips are accelerating, decelerating, order, and all of that. And when I saw this batter, basically it just jumped out. His hips were late. So he's actually kind of initiating the swing with his chest. And if you think about that, all that power that you're generating, right? So how do we generate power? We push off the ground pushes back, and then the rest of your job is really to push that power through your chain into your arm or the bat as efficiently as possible. Now when a guy's going with his chest first instead of his legs, he's not utilizing, and this was a big 6'2", 240-pound lefty, massive legs, he wasn't utilizing that at all. So the simpler view of that for an athlete or a coach is this deceleration sequence was chest, arm, hip, bat. We're looking for hip, chest, arm, bat. This thing's moving in this direction. So when we measured him, his bat speed was, peak bat speed was 1,968 degrees per second, okay? But once we were able to see that, this order, I just communicated that information to the coach. Right? And the coach used his intelligence. He gave him a drill that would fix that, right? So we told him the problem. He gave him a drill to fix that. 5 minutes later, you watch, the swing looks exactly the same. See that green? Hip, chest, arm, bat. Okay, so what? So what is his bat speed went up to 2118 degrees per second. That's 10%. That's a lot. You know, I don't know the exact numbers in baseball, but for a golfer, that would be like getting 40 more yards to your drive, right? So they would have been happy with 2 or 3%, but in 5 minutes, one adjustment, he gained 10% more speed, okay? Now obviously he's got to train that motor pattern, right? You know, he's got to use that drill that the coach was giving, but we see this over and over. The kinematic sequence and max or optimize the chain, how your body moves. I'm not making you stronger or more flexible in 5 minutes. I'm just teaching you the right motor pattern, and that's how it goes. The other thing I actually just noticed today, because I was so focused on the speed game we gave him, we actually came up with a measure. And one of the things we do is we work with a lot of premier coaches, and one of our coaches who works with the Rangers said, who uses our system every day with their players, he said one of the things he noticed is that his better hitters just had a more stable spine, right? He's like, can you measure that for us? We're like, sure. So we called up one of our scientists. He wrote a formula for us. So we created this metric called spine stability. What that basically is for a hitter, when you initiate that swing, typically measured from the hip starting the rotation. I don't care if you're swinging around waiting up. As soon as you start that swing, I'm measuring how efficiently you're rotating around your spine. If you start doing this or any of that movement, we start off with a score of 100, and I start taking away points every time you do that, right? Because 2 things are going to happen when you don't have that spine stability. First, it slows down your rotation, right? And the speed of the bat is highly correlated with how fast your chest rotates. So if I'm moving around, I can't rotate as fast. The second thing is just consistency. You know, am I going to be really able to hit that ball when my chest is moving all over the place? So, even though I don't think the coach meant it, that one drill he gave him, he went from a spine stability score of 82. It's pretty bad, actually. just by fixing the sequence, his spine stability score went up to 94, which is really good, right? So we have, that's just one example. We have all of this data that we can generate to help you get more speed, get more consistency, have a better spine plane, all of that. So, starting to see some eyes glaze over, so let me give you some visual stuff. So, let's see. Some of the other things we could look at are how the bat's moving in relation to the body. So, we have this cool tool here that actually looks at the swing, the plane created in your swing. And again, great feedback from one of our professional teams. They said that they believe that there should be a 90-degree relationship between your spine and the bat at impact, right? So we actually built up this tool where we measure how your bat's moving through the swing, and then we have this red plane that's moving 90 degrees from your spine. So we just take you to impact, and we look at how well these two things line up, right? So this guy's got some work to do. These things don't line up. This guy, that's just about perfect, right? So again, it's very simple feedback. Measure it, turn on those tools, and that other case, right? The spine was a little bit too high up, relation to the bat was off, so it's giving you feedback on what you can work on. And then when you can get this, you can have that 90-degree relationship. Probably can't see, but I've heard force vectors, I've heard acceleration, body pads. So these tools, you can actually measure all of that, right? So we know what direction you're applying the force to the handle of the bat. And the reason that that's important is center of mass of that bat, where the sweet spot of the barrel is, has to follow the force that you're putting on it, right? So we want to know, the force, the predictor of where that center of mass is going, so you can start to get information on, hey, how am I applying force to that bat that's going to get the bat position that I want it to. Does that make sense? Okay. So while we were preparing, we actually measured, sorry, what was your name? Remington. So, Remington, you okay with us analyzing your swing? Alright. Alright, so this is Remington's swing. Let's take a look at some of the data. So, for the sake of time, we'll just look at some of the metrics. Okay, so your transition sequence, and what I mean by transition sequence is as I start my swing, in what order are my body parts moving, right? The worst order, and don't feel bad, because I've seen pros with pretty bad order, would be, what do you think would probably be the worst thing happening?
This is the main shot, like
in a swing?
This one, this close.
You have an answer. What do you think? Yeah, well, I mean, again, if you think about if I'm trying to throw a whip, probably the worst thing I could try to do is throw the end of that whip first, right? Golf we call it casting. So if the first thing that's moving is the bat, that's not good, okay? Everything's kind of got to go inside out, right? Think about your hands and the bat is the tail of that whip, and your hips and your lower body is the handle of that whip. So that wasn't you. So your transition order was arm, bat, chest, hip. Okay, so we would work. we would work on that. The second part of kinematic sequence is what we call the deceleration order, or you can think about the order at which a body part reaches its peak speed before it starts to decelerate. And in baseball, it's almost equally as important, right? Because that's how the energy transfers. So you were arm, chest, hip, bat. Okay, so if I'm your coach, before getting into some of these other things and positions and how fast your chest is moving, I want to fix that sequence because that's probably going to get you the most velocity. Okay. good news is your spine stability score is 94, which is awesome. So, you know, let's see what your bad attack angle is positive 8 degrees, which is good. Let's see what your how you did on your plane. Okay. Not bad. So, you know, if you look at your spine plane, it's a little steeper than your, you know, so you're a little bit, so you probably want to level you out a little bit more, spine-wise. So let's do another swing, all right? And this time, let's just focus on driving first, letting everything else go. Okay? You ready?
How do you hold it?
Good.
So a little bit.
Set you up. Okay. So with this product, we tried to make it as simple as possible. So we light up a sensor, tell you where to put it on. Here. Yep. Chest. Hip. Yep. Lower arm. Back. Now we're going to calibrate you, so I want you to stand like a soldier facing that way. Neutral spine. Good. Pull that movement. Okay. Relax.
Okay.
So if we use that camera-based system, like the thing I showed you in the beginning, this part would probably take it over an hour already. All right, so it took us like 1 minute. So, all right, ready? Here. Let me know when you're ready. And again, let's focus on driving the hips first, okay? So, after we capture, when you're going to go back and look at this, see how you progress over time. We want to know what you did, right? So in this case, we're just taking a practice swing. But if you hit a ball, we just give you just simple push buttons on, you know, whether it was fair, grounder, line drive, pop up, which direction it went. Say it was fair. You can even put pitch location, right? Because your body's going to move differently, different pitch locations. So if you're looking at this, like, why was his chest bent over this much? Well, it could have been a low outside pitch, right? And then you can put whatever information else you want. So there you are. Okay. Ready? Okay, better. So deceleration was perfect. Hip, chest, arm, back. Okay. Now let's see what is it, some of your other numbers. Yeah, so your bat speed, the first one, your bat speed was 1733. And went up to 1805. Okay, so 5%. Not bad, right? Bat angle, same. Spine angle. So, like I said, there's a ton of this stuff that we can measure, and you know, if you're a coach who's, let's say, more focused on leg work, our sensors are modular. You can take the same 6 sensors, put them on your legs. As a company, we really like to work with our clients. Software release. I would say on average, every 3 to 4 weeks. So we get requests come in, new configurations, new analytics, whatever it is, and we put it out right away. So we're constantly improving our systems. The other thing that's really a great tool, and we'll do a pitching example, it's even more important than pitching, is kind of the hip to chest relationship, right? So how are you generating power from your legs and then leveraging your spine, right? So we have this tool here where you can see, right? So we created lines so it's much more easy to see, and you can see how, right? They're parallel right now. Starts to load up, loading up. And you can even see visually here, you see how this time his hips go first? Yeah, and now you're creating that stretch, right? We call it the X factor. Creating that stretch, that's going to give you power, right? You don't want to do it all from the end of the whip, you want to do it from the middle, and really kind of drive that body through, right? So, you know, we have various levels of giving you the information, whether it's, somebody's very data heavy, we have all the graphs, we have simple metrics that come up right away, and then really the last part is, communicating that to the player, right? So letting them see what they're doing, and that's going to, at the end of the day, impact change. Any questions so far? Comments? All right, so want to try a pitching example? Sure. All right, let's do a pitching example. So, move some of the cycles around. This on your strong arm. Dominican. So, is that a baseball? You should, right?
There's a bucket back there.
Not a regular baseball. Oh, one right here. Okay.
So this time, why don't you stand right here? Facing towards me. And same thing, kind of hold that position. Straight arm, calibrate it. Okay. You ready? Yep. So same thing, every time we're recording, we want to capture what we're doing so that when we go back and look, we're looking at. So what kind of pitch is that? Fastball. And then let's say, then you can put in whether it was a strike or a ball, and also the pitch location. And if you have something measuring the exit velocity, you can record that as well.
The angle that this is good range from the end, so that
Yeah.
you learn what needs to be.
Yeah, so, what we've first done is we get a lot of requests for more information. It seems like the more data that we give, we get requests for more and more data. And I would say one of the things that we want to be careful about is not giving out information that hasn't been scientifically proven. So what we tend to do is, when we found that there is research, right, I start color coding things, right? Green, yellow, red, right? If there's not research, I'll give you the information and I'll even give you a range, but I think the coach has to kind of understand the player, mobility, etc., and then kind of take the information from there. But as we get more and more pro data, the metrics we provide, at the very least, we'll show you what the kind of the averages are, right? What the range is, and then kind of let you decide from there. One more thing I want to show. It's actually something we've been working in R&D. So it's very much not ready for production, but I'm going to take a chance and see if it works. So.
Osang.
Okay. This is our alpha version. Give it a shot. So let me give you a little background on this. I think when we first started developing this tech, our first sets of customers were MLB teams and people who just knew a ton about biomechanics, and they kind of led us in a direction of building this really powerful, but for a lot of coaches, a little bit overwhelming tool, right? Sometimes too much information. And we have, even with a 6-sensor system, we have like 30 options on where you can put the sensors, right? You want to, it could be something about the timing of foot strike to something happening with the wrist, etc. But we did get the message that some of this stuff is a little bit too complicated, and also just the setup process and everything. So we created this new technology that we're looking to introduce in about a month or so, which just simplifies the whole thing. I'm going to give you one example. It was what one of our pro team player development coaches asked for, and I'll show you how kind of easy it works. I'm going to put this in. So can you just stand facing that way again? And just hold that position. Actually, you don't even have to hold the position. So with this, we didn't have to do any of that setup process. You just put it on, and he doesn't even have to wait for me. So just go ahead and take a swing. Oh, yeah, go ahead and take a swing.
Hit first.
So what this is doing now is we've kind of freed up the sensor. So now you can actually use this in game, right? No practice. There's no interruption to the workflow, and I could start setting targets for chest speed and spine stability. So this module, all it does is measure how fast your chest is rotating and that spine stability score, right? And you can see your own progress, right? Like, you know where you were, so then, every time you go, you can improve for a little bit more stability, a little bit more speed in the chest, and we have all the data. So just go ahead and swing again. And I don't have to start, stop, just put it on and go. So when you hear the beep, it's telling you that you exceeded the. Let's try again. This time, let's focus on stability. At 85, let's see if we can get that up. I'm gonna wear them out.
So he's able to make that immediate adjustment and get immediate.
Yeah, it's like the diamond kinetics thing, right? So there's kind of data is great, but I had one coach tell me, head of player development, was using our system for a while. He said, I now know what's wrong with all my flares, but help us train them, right? So then it's understanding, doing a diagnostic, right? We want to put the sensors on and we want to get a measure, pick something to work on, and then have a module like this, which just gives them instant feedback. And then they can just kind of fine tune with every movement. Because you're not going to learn without feedback. So what we're developing is we're going to develop modules for hip chest separation, stability, sequence, all that stuff. So you can just put it on, and the beauty of this is because there's no more start stopping. You just put them on. Now we can get in game, right? That's the other huge request, right? Under the pressure of a game, everything changes, right? So capturing this stuff in games is one of the biggest benefits of this. But just wearing them all day long. You don't have to worry about, I think one of the things that, people still do because the information's great, but they don't like it if the technology starts to change how they have to set up their practice, right? So what we're trying to do is just continuously improve the tech so that, quite honestly, what I was hoping to do like 6 years ago when I started this, I thought, hey, just put the sensors on and go and get all this information. It took 6 years, 6 years to figure out how to do that. It's not that simple. But yeah, this is, I think we're going to be able to do this with multiple sensors, but just put it on, you go. Don't even have to have your phone nearby. All this stuff is done on sensor. So, but obviously you can then go back and we'll give you all of the data, so you can, before you can analyze it and see all that stuff. And then matching this up with in-game results, I think, is going to be huge. Any questions?
Go through.
All right, guys, if you have any questions right now on the live stream, now would be a great time to ask.
I was just saying, go through how affordable the system is. I think a lot of people see systems and they think expensive. Just tell them how affordable it is.
Yeah, so as Brent said, one of our key goals when we developed this is affordability, right? It didn't make any sense to me that you had to pay $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 per system. And if you do that, it's very few people are going to be able to use it. So our systems start like under $1,000. So 2 sensor system, which you could do, that hip chest separation, I think it's like $500-$600. 6 sensor system is still under $2,000. And if you compare that to some of the other systems out there,
Your competitors.
that are a lot more expensive. Our business model was always just let's be ubiquitous. We just want to be out there. So felt like it had to be simple, had to be powerful, but had to be affordable, right? So we're just looking to create affordable tech that everybody can use. I've done this a lot. My son played baseball, measured all his players, and some of the stuff that we've shown them, kid's been taking lessons for 8 years. So, if anybody pointed this out to you, it was pretty impactful stuff for them. And my goal from, I had 2 athlete kids, and some of their instructors were great, some less so. So we really want to bring is real science, right? I can tell you that golf went through this about 10, 15 years ago. And maybe more than half the stuff that they used to teach, once it was tested in the lab, they changed. They're like, no, X factor is actually less important than stretch, right? So as I was talking about before, you do want to get that hip chest separation, but if you go out of order, right? So even if I create 45-degree separation, my chest goes first. It's like that rubber band going slack. But if my hip goes first, what happens is that 45 turns into 47, 48, and at the last minute, your muscles go like this, and then you get that pop, right? So I think this is going to happen in baseball too. As we can measure more things, we're going to test. Is what they, is that particular thing, conducted in a laboratory with data and enough trials, does it really have that effect? And we also, we have top advisors in our company about the baseball stuff. We also have kinesiologists who are professors at universities who do this measurement for us and understand some of the basic biomechanics of cause and effect. So, like I said, we're going to give you the ability to measure everything, but we're going to be very careful about telling you what's right or wrong until we know for 100% that it's true.
Talk about some, like if you're going to purchase, what's the optimal amount of sensors to kind of start with?
Yeah, so we sell 2 sensor sets to 12 sensor sets. I actually, believe it or not, discourage coaches from starting off with a 12 sensor set. I'd love to take your money, but I think for coaches, 6 is a good number because you'll be able to, and a lot of time you're probably only going to be putting 2 or 3 on an athlete, right, to focus the training. But 6 is going to give you a lot of flexibility. You can do the upper body, lower body, lead side, trail side, all of that. The full system's modular. But we also have player products. And again, I wanted to make that more affordable. So our player versions, even for the same number of sets, are cheaper than the instructor versions. The only main difference is it only allows you one profile, right? So you're using it for yourself. For players, I would highly recommend you could start with like a 2 sensor system. We did a great one with TopVelocity. So it's a 2 sensor hip chest pitching module. It's going to give you that sequence. It's going to give you the separation. It comes with a video, so it'll explain to you how to set it up, how to use it, what information you're looking for. And I don't mind our customers starting small because you can always add more, right? And we set up our pricing that if you started with a 2 and you end up with 6, it's no more expensive than if you bought 6 right away. So learn how to use the system. Work on one thing. When you perfect that, you can always add more and more sensors to the system.
Do you find that in your clients, whether it be golf, whether it be hitting, whether it be pitching, the thing that leads to power, not necessarily the sequence, but the thing that leads to power within the body is like the 2 sensors to read that separation? Is that what most coaches will look at to see how much potential power the body can have? Is the hip to shoulder separation? Is that what it leads to?
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said in your talk, right? The generate power from the ground, right? So that's why force plates are so popular in golf, right? So just using your feet to push off the ground, and the stability of that, right? But a lot of that will translate into how your hips move, right? How your pelvis moves. If you're not using the ground effectively, then and you're not in the right position, your hips aren't getting the. So we not only look at what's your how fast you're rotating, but we look at the acceleration pattern and deceleration pattern, right? So if you have a pattern that looks like a really sharp hill up and down, that's ideal. That means you're accelerating really fast and decelerating fast. Right? A lot of times, even in pro athletes, I'll see something that kind of looks a little funky in the beginning. So even though they're powerful, they may be generating force off the ground. It could be something with their hip rotation. It could be a mobility issue, but they're trying to translate that. And if I'm that athlete's coach, I'd probably send him to a trainer. Let's figure out his mobility issue first. Right? Why can't he accelerate properly, right? But then it's a whole chain. Like I've measured, 90-pound, 11-year-old kids who can spin their hips like anything. They don't have the strength to translate that, right? So if you don't have the core strength, you might have super fast hips, but your chest is 10% faster than your hips, then it's not translating throughout things. So now you got to work on your core. So a lot of this stuff actually, we have a whole other side where trainers use our system to take you through range of motion analysis, asymmetry movement screens, because before you really start asking athletes to do something, you want to make sure he's capable of doing it, right? If he's not capable of doing it, he might get hurt, right? So we do that as well.
Wouldn't you recommend that they just download the app? And you have some features for them just in downloading the app?
Yeah, so the app is free, so you can download it, and it has a couple of examples of some pro, so you can just see how a pro's moving. And then when you want to buy the system, you place an order, you get the sensors, and you get a license code that will allow you to activate it work with the sensors.
Also, too, I like to use with it, like guys, players, coaches can share, say, a swing or whatever. They can share it, and then you can access it through your app.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all of our stuff is cloud-based. So, you know, as an athlete, if you're working with a coach who has a system, you could download the app for free and just log in with the same profile that your coach created for you, and then you could see all of your swings in 3D, and that's completely free. So, and then we have sharing functionality so that, you know, coaches, you know, if you go to get trained by a specialist and who has this, you can share that with your coach. So we have full, you know, sharing functionality as well.
Cool.
I'm sorry? So it's 4D, and then a space, and then motion.
We have a question online here. So the question is, do you have the ability to measure your barrel metrics in relation to the body metrics within the same swing?
Yes, because we can actually put a sensor on the body of the bat. You get the relationship. So like I showed with the spine to bat angle, so you'll see what you are. So yeah.
Okay, stream. One more call. If you have any questions, now is the time to ask. About 4D motion sports epic. Usually about a minute away.
All right, anything from anybody else? All right, let's give Sang a good